Kintu and Nambi from Tales from Uganda. Awo Olwatuka. Oh, once upon a time. Here in Uganda, we have a story that explains why man is not immortal. The story is told to every child and is the story of Kintu and Nambi. Please listen carefully. Once upon a time, there was a man called Kintu. He lived on earth by himself and he had one animal, which was a cow. This cow provided him with milk and cow dung, so he depended on that as his food. One day, he was walking with his cow, then some guards showed up. So when the guards showed up, they saw Kintu and they asked between themselves, how could this poor man have this amazing cow? So the guards came and took off the cow from Kintu. So they took the cow off him and went back. These guards worked for a king called Gulu. Gulu lived in the heavens. So he was a big famous king. So poor Kintu, after losing his cow, he went back home and started thinking how he would survive without his cow. So he came up with another plan maybe of farming, but still there was no seeds by then. So he had to struggle to get something to eat indeed. So one day, after a few months passed, Kintu was still walking around. And then Gulu's daughter called Nambi. Remember, Gulu stayed in the heaven. So these people were staying in the heaven. They would come once in a time, maybe visiting earth and walking around. So still one day, Gulu's daughter called Nambi was on earth walking with some guards, having a look, how earth was beautiful. So she was having a look. So when she was walking, Kintu met Nambi. So Kintu really liked Nambi and he started flirting with Nambi. Nambi told Kintu, look, if you really, really want to pursue a relationship with me, you have to come to my father's place and you explain your feelings to my father, and then maybe you could possibly get married. So Kintu now started setting plans on visiting Gulu's family so that he could maybe try and persuade Gulu to marry Nambi. So Kintu returned to heaven with Nambi. So when Kintu reached heaven, he met with Gulu, who was Nambi's dad. Gulu told Kintu, if you want to marry my daughter, I'll give you some tasks. And if you pass these tasks, then you can marry my daughter. Kintu was fine with the tasks. He said, okay, bring them on. So they took Kintu in the grass-thatched house and they gave him a place to sit, to wait for his first task. So while Kintu was still there, they brought a big feast. It was a big, big meal with different side dishes for Kintu to eat. Gulu told Kintu, this is your first task. Eat this food and finish it. If you finish it, then I'll take you to the second task. So Kintu started thinking how he would finish this food because it was too much. So because Kintu was a lucky man and he was blessed by the gods, when the guards left Kintu in the house by himself, magically a big hole appeared on the floor of the thatched house, and it spoke to him. It told him, look, you could pour this food inside here and no one would even find out. So that's what Kintu did. So Kintu poured most of the food in the hole, and after he did that, the hole shut. So after the hole shut, Kintu called the guards and told them, look, I've just finished the meal. So the guards went running and called the king, who was Gulu. And Gulu came and saw that Kintu had eaten all the food. The king was amazed. He was like, how can even a man eat the food that we had given Kintu. It was a big feast. After Kintu had finished with his first task, Gulu took him to the second task. And the second task was Kintu had to split the rocks using his axe. So Gulu got an axe and gave it to Kintu and told Kintu, you have to split these rocks. Of course, that's impossible. It looked like Gulu didn't want Kintu to marry Nambi because giving someone such a task is really, really challenging. No man can do that up to now. So while Kintu was still there standing with an axe, thinking on how to split the rocks, magically again, the rocks split themselves. And as soon as the rocks split themselves, Kintu ran and called the guards. He told them, come and look, come and look. I've split the rocks. Again, the king was so amazed. He wondered how this man managed to split the rocks in the first place. He could be maybe a strong man or a blessed man. So the king was really, really, really eager to find out more about Kintu. So that was the second task finished. Gulu said, look, now I'll take you to your final task. The final task, Gulu took Kintu to a big farm of cattle. The king had lots of cattle because he was a king. Now, if you remember from the beginning of the story, Kintu's cow was taken by some guards, and these guards worked for Gulu. So, task number 3, Gulu told Kintu, find the cow that was taken off you. Of course, this is another impossible task. So, while Kintu was still thinking on how to do this, a bee came flying and landed on Kintu's ear and whispered to him and told him, look, I'm gonna help you do this. And I'm gonna go flying and land on the cattle. When I land on that cow, that's the cow that was taken off you. And again, I'll go flying. And if I land on another cow, that's the cow that your cow gave birth to. So that's what the bee told him. So while after the bee had spoken to Kintu about this, the bee started flying. So Kintu started following the bee. The bee landed on the first cow. So when the bee landed on the cow, Kintu pointed and told the king, look, this is the cow that was taken off me by your guards. The king, of course, started wondering how this man knew all these things because it was a big farm with lots of cows. Kintu could have pointed to any cow, but he pointed to the right one in the first place. Again, the bee started flying to the other cow that Kintu's cow had given birth to. And when it reached there, again Kintu pointed at that cow and said, this is my other cow that this cow gave birth to. The king couldn't believe it. He said, wow, this man is a really genius. He's a clever man. Again, the bee flew again to another cow. So it flew to 3 cows. So Kintu again pointed to the third cow. Gulu was so amazed. And Gulu said, look, I've now agreed that you can marry my daughter. So they started doing the preparations. Now, while all this was happening, Nambi's brothers were not at home. Nambi had 2 brothers, Kaikuzi and Walumbe. Walumbe is a Ugandan name meaning death. So they were away, they were not at home. So Gulu told Kintu, look, I want you to leave as soon as possible with your wife because Nambi has some brother that I don't want to follow you back on earth because they are bad-mannered. So Kintu started getting ready with his wife, his new married wife, Nambi, and they left for earth. So while they were on the way coming on earth, Nambi had come with a chicken. So she remembered that she had forgotten the millet to feed the chicken. She told Kintu, look, go home, go on earth, go with the chicken. I'll go back home so fast and pick the millet for my chicken. So Kintu said, okay, that's fine. So Kintu came on earth with the chicken whilst Nambi returned to heaven to pick her millet that she had forgotten. When she reached heaven, her brother, Walumbe, had returned home. So the brother was like, oh my days, my sister, you had left me. You had left even without saying bye to me. I don't even know the man you've married to. So I need to meet my in-law. Why had you left me? I need to come to you with you on earth so that I can meet my in-law. Nambi told him, look, Dad said you don't have to come, please. Stay, because Earth is fine without you. Walumbe couldn't agree. Walumbe said, no, 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 I have to come with you. I have to. So Nambi couldn't do anything really. So she said, okay, even if Nambi refused, still Walumbe could have followed Nambi on Earth. So Nambi came back on Earth, but she came back with her brother, Walumbe. So when she reached Earth, Walumbe stayed with Nambi and Kintu. So Kintu and Nambi gave birth to their firstborn. When they had this firstborn for a few years, Walumbe, because Walumbe's death, Walumbe killed Kintu and Nambi's firstborn. And when Walumbe did this, Nambi and Kintu were so angry. So Nambi sent a messenger back home to heaven to go and inform her dad, Gulu, what Walumbe was doing to Nambi's children. So the messenger reached heaven and told Gulu what was happening on earth, how Walumbe was terrorizing the family of Kintu and Nambi. Before Gulu responded to the messenger or to the message that Nambi had sent, Walumbe killed the second baby of Kintu and Nambi. By this time, Gulu had sent Nambi's brother, another brother who was called Kayikuzi. So when Kayikuzi came on earth, Walumbe found out the news that they had sent a brother to come and catch him and take him back to heaven. Walumbe ran so fast and hid himself in a big dark hole called Tanda. So ever since then, Walumbe is still hiding in that big hole in the ground called Tanda. He comes out once in a while and he kills people, he kills man's children, and then he runs back to the hole. So that's where death started from. Because Kayikuzi couldn't chase Walumbe and catch him and take him back to heaven. Now Walumbe still lives on earth and he still kills people. As we say in Uganda, Nangao Wenalavira. And that's what I saw all those years ago. Let's go to bed now. Sulabulunji. Good night. See you next time for another bedtime story with Tata Musa.